Hi everybody, welcome to Dulcimerica. My name is Futch. Thank you very much for joining me. We're going to wrap up this study of playing in the key of G and the key of A by getting down deeper into playing chords while we're capoed and without the capo, giving us a lot more room on the fretboard. It's a wonderful thing, you know, we're becoming more sophisticated as mountain dulcimer players, and so we're starting to realize that just about anything you can do on other instruments can be done here. Knowing your chords, knowing your notes, your scales, all of that will make you a more powerful player and a more agile player, especially when people come into the jam and start asking for tunes in different keys. And so we'll recap a little bit about playing in the key of G and A, and then we'll talk about the chords, how to build them, how to find them using the chord shapes, and then how to use them both with and without the capo. Before I get into that, I want to mention that on Patreon at patreon.com/BingFutch, you can find just hundreds of gigabytes of materials, all my CDs, all my books, all of my videos, all of my teaching materials. They're all available to you for $5 per month, plus everything I'm doing now on a weekly basis. If you want to find out more about it, go to patreon.com/BingFutch, go to the featured tag section, click on Open House, and all that stuff that you find there is yours to download for free. If you enjoy the format and if you enjoy what you find there, please do consider becoming a patron where you can get lots of stuff like this, and plus the money you pledge every single month helps to produce this show. And I thank all my patrons for being there for me every single day and being a part of my art. I love you guys. Thank you. Okay, so we're talking about the key of G, key of A. Let's review first of all the key of G, what the scale is. The scale is going to be G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, and G. You'll notice that when I'm doing these chords, I'm playing them from the bass string, or these scales, sorry. I'm coming from the bass string over to the melody string. And when I do that, I'm doing it in a symmetric fashion. What I play on the bass string, I'm repeating on that middle string. And it usually happens in groups of 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then start over again on the next string over 1, 2, 3, 4. That works on the bass string and the middle string. The reason that works is because we're tuned in DAD, and it's a 1-5-8 tuning. Those numbers are scale degrees, and they relate to the first, fifth, and the octave, the 8 of that associated scale. So if we're tuned in DAD, D is the 1, 5 is the A, and then the octave above D is the melody string, DAD. Which means that when I'm walking up the scale, 1, 2, 3, 4, instead of going up to the 7th fret to play 5, I can simply go across from where I started at the 3rd fret and find a D there as well. Same pitch, same note. So that makes it easy to get that entire scale under your fingers without having to stretch your hand out too far. So we just go 1, 2, 3, 4 on the bass string, and then a 1, 2, 3, 4 on the middle string, or to be more precise, 3, 4, 5, 6 on the bass string, 3, 4, 5, 6 on the middle string. So there's our G major scale. You can also play it down here if you've got the 1.5 fret. G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, G. You can also play it from the 3rd fret up to the 10th fret. G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, G, and on the bass string, G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, and G. So with those 7 notes, 7 different notes, and the octave, we can build a chord off of every single one of those notes using that note as the root of the chord. So I'm going to put this up on the screen, but for practice, what you can do is write down the 7 letters of the scale, whatever scale you want to study. So write down G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp. Get them out in front of you. They're on the screen now. So what we're going to do is we're going to hop, skip, and jump to build these chords. So if you start with G, you're going to hop over A and go to B and add that into your chord. So we start with G, that's the root of the chord. Then we're adding B, and that is the third note of the G major scale. And that's going to be the major third of this chord. Then we skip over the next letter and get to D. And that's going to be the perfect fifth. So we're using the first, third, and fifth notes of the scale, G, B, and D, just by hopping, skipping, and jumping across that scale. So the answer, what's inside of this chord, is inside of the scale for every single note of the scale. So G major chord is G, B, and D. It's important to note that naturally, if you do this hop, skip, and jump thing, you'll come up with 3 major chords, 3 minor chords, and 1 diminished chord for every single key that you're playing in. And these are naturally occurring with no adjustments, no substitutions, no accidentals, nothing altered whatsoever. When you do this, be mindful that if you build off the first, fourth, and fifth notes of the scale, you're going to get major chords. You build off the second, third, and sixth notes of the scale, you're going to get minor chords. And if you build off the seventh note of the scale, you'll get that 1 diminished chord, just by using that hop, skip, and jump trick. So let's do that same thing with A. Second note of the scale, this is going to be a minor chord. So we start with A, hop over B, go to C, hop over D, go to E, you end up with A, C, and E, and there's your A minor. I won't do this for every single one. I'll put the results up on the screen. How do you make an F sharp diminish? Just start with F sharp, skip past G, go to A, skip past B, go to C. It sounds like this. It's also an odd little chord shape as well. It is one of those chords that sounds unresolved because it's built off the seventh note of the scale. Remember that little thing we did? We played G major. We had this capo at the 3rd fret, and we went to that 7th scale degree, F sharp, and played it, and it sounded restless. Until we went ahead and brought it up to G. Resolution. So you could do that same thing and go from your F sharp diminished down into a G major. Doesn't that sound awesome? Not only do you not just have the one note resolving to another note against a couple of other notes, you've got 3 notes all together, creating a nice, rich resolution. Awesome stuff right there. Now let's do this exact same trick using the A major scale. A major, A, B, C sharp, D, E, F sharp, G sharp, A. We got 1 sharp in the key of G major, that's F sharp. We've got 3 sharps in the key of A major, F sharp, C sharp, and G sharp. And we're playing 4, 5, 6 1/2, 7 on the bass string, 4, 5, 6 1/2, 7 on the middle string. We can also play A major straight up the middle string from open to the 7th fret using the 6 1/2 fret. A, B, C sharp, D, E, F sharp, G sharp, and A. So we can do this hopping, skipping, and jumping thing. Once again, 1, 4, and 5 will be major chords. 2, 3, and 6 will be minor chords, and the 7th will be a diminished chord. And G sharp diminished, another weird little chord, and it sounds like this. Once again, if you want to find out what the ingredients are for every single one of those chords, just start with the note that you want to figure out how to build a chord off of that root, and then hop and skip every other one. So for the G sharp diminished, we're starting with G sharp. We skip over A, go to B. We skip over C sharp and go to D. G sharp, B, and D. It's going to give you that G sharp diminished, which sounds really, really good when you resolve it down to the root of A. That's a very, very satisfying resolution. So knowing these chords and how to play them is one thing, and then knowing how to use them is another thing entirely. So there are a couple of different things that we've got going on here. First of all, we've got a wide open fretboard, and if you don't want to put a lot of fingers down on the fretboard, you can always use the capo and then create your chords. So let's get into the key of G, capo 3. We have our scale right here across the strings. Notes on your melody string are fair game, of course. And notes all up and down the fretboard. You can play anywhere you want to, as long as you remember that in the key of G, there's only one sharp, F sharp. So be mindful of where your sharps are located. F sharp hanging out right there. We got F sharps hiding in places, so just make sure we're in your immediate vicinity. You know what you've got, and don't play the natural if it calls for a sharp. Now it's very easy to get into playing the chords here. You don't have to put your fingers down across all the strings, usually just 2 strings, because we've got the capo on there taking care of some of the other work for you. So G major chord at this point would just be putting your thumb down at the 5th fret on the melody string. The other 2 strings are taken care of. Or you could play on the bass string by yourself. Going from there, you can play your G chord in a slant shape. You can also play an extended slant chord by going up here. So we've got all of our G's right there. For A minor, we got our A minors here. We've also got B minors, C major, D major, so forth and so on. E minor, you can do like this, or this, or this. And here's another way of playing F sharp diminished. Slant shape using fret 6, 5, and 4. Then we get into A major with 3 sharps, F sharp, C sharp, and G sharp. We have our scale. Melody string is a fair game, of course. And just be aware, mindful of where all of your sharps are located. A major, going here. Put your thumb right down at the 6.5 fret. Got B minor. We can do a B minor. C sharp minor. This is not something that we play a whole lot of, but it can be done. 6.5, 6.5, 8. Or the reverse. D major. E major. F sharp minor. And G sharp diminished, the crazy little beast that it is. With that great resolution to A major. So there's another G sharp diminished shape for you at 7, 6.5, 5, and the inversion of that, and it loves to resolve down to A major. Lovely stuff right there. So there are some of the chord shapes. There are other chord shapes, of course, available to you if you don't have the capo on there. And of course, you can go higher up into the second octave if you want to play up there as well. The most important thing you could do at this point is learn the notes on the fretboard, know where they're located for whatever tunings you're using. If you're using more than one tuning, you have to learn the fretboard for each one of those. And then once you know where all the notes are located, then use the scale and that trick, hopping, skipping, and jumping every other note to get an idea of how to build a chord off of every single note in the scale. Once you get that committed to memory and you can play these notes and these chords up and down the fretboard, it becomes really easy then when you're in the jam or trying to figure out a tune or doing some arranging to know A, what it is you're looking for, and B, what it is you can do with these chords as they move around. Some chords like to move to other chords more than others. There's a relationship in between those chords because, we're not just moving chords around, we're moving individual notes and their intervals around. So sometimes the look you're getting or the feel you're getting has a lot to do with the shape of the chord that you're playing. Not all these chords sound alike. A G major down here like this sounds different than that G major and this G major. Depends on where the pitches are of these three notes inside of the chord. So you have a lot of options available to you. But when you have that mixture of tension and release, of restlessness and restfulness, that's part of what makes music, the dynamics of music, work so well. And after a while, you'll begin to realize and understand which of these chords lead better to each other and which ones are so-so. And you'll hear these patterns in music that you're playing. You'll also see these patterns in music that you write or arrange for yourself. And once that understanding comes into play, there'll be no stopping you at all. So I think that's going to be another upcoming episode talking about chord leading and chord voicing. Which chords like to go where and why. But for right now, work on all that capo 3 stuff for G major, capo 4 for A major in DAD tuning, and then take the capo off and play in those keys and see how it works out for you. I hope it goes fabulously. Be encouraged, play a little bit every single day, and enjoy the journey. Thank you, everybody, very much. We'll see you next time. Sweaty.